Hey Tessa, so I wanted to show you the automation that I'm creating so that you can send emails to inspire people to complete, TDP or DDP or anything. Um, so let me walk you through how this works. And there are going to be some changes that we might make. I need to know a little bit more about how you want this to go. But the base idea is when they purchase, they're going to get a tag that puts them into this. Right, they automatically get tagged and they go into this delivery automation, right? And if you have a little weird issue with your tags where some of them get added processing and don't get this actual tag until later. So you might want to add several different tags, tag purchased with the processing in it. Like here, I'll just do that one because so you can see. So purchased, and then it's swing literacy, pending, processing, right? Any of these teacher development ones that have that like pending processing. There might be others as well. Nope, it looks like just that one. And these two are the ones. Oh, here it is, on hold. So I'm not sure which ones like does on hold. Is there ever a time where they get on hold in WooCommerce and and they um, and they actually did purchase? If so, then you might want to add this one so that they get these emails right away rather than later. Um, but let's say the processing one, we know that happens frequently where it says processing, but they actually have paid. And let's say you do want them, everyone to get these emails, even the people that are processing and haven't paid, just so that those who have don't have to wait like a week or something before you go in and change it. So in that case, you want to add this processing tag, runs once, add start. And now you see either of these tags is going to put them into this automation. And you could add pending or any others depending on if you think there's other ones that actually add them into it. If you don't want this one, no problem. Just go here and click the little delete trigger button. Okay, so once they're in, they're immediately going to get a welcome message. And you can see on all these things, it gives you a little bit of note that you can view that tells you a little bit of what to put in this program. So it says, make this message an inspirational welcome and overview of what is to come. Let your contacts know what to expect, such as how often you'll be reaching out. And make sure to talk about some of the coolest things they're going to learn in the program. Maybe even just in Unit 1, just to get them excited about Unit 1 and inspire them to start the program. But whether you talk about just what's in Unit 1 or the coolest things in the entire thing really depends on like how inspiring you think Unit 1 will be. Like, is there something in Unit 1 that's really going to get them wanting to do it? Or do you need to talk about the entire program and what they're going to get the whole program in order to really inspire them? So yeah, if you can talk about something in Unit 1 that's really cool, then you could send this welcome message at the beginning of each unit that says, hey, here's the really cool things you're going to learn, right? So that'd be ideal. But even more important is just to get them moving. So if you feel like talking about like the whole program and what they're going to be able to do by completing this whole program, maybe that's the way to go with the welcome message. Also, if you're sending this welcome message some other way, you don't want to send both. So delete the other one if you start sending this one once you make this active. All right. Now, the next thing is it's got a wait action. Now, you might want to change this from 1 day to 3 days to 7 days or whatever. We'll discuss how to decide that in a little bit, but let me show you how this all works first. Day 1 might be lesson 1 of Unit 1, right? So right now, all of this is going to be about Unit 1, with the exception of possibly this email might be about everything. So this might be lesson 1 or a combo of kind of the intro to Unit 1 and lesson 1. This is lesson 2, lesson 3, right? Going on through. And if you have more lessons in Unit 1, you can add more emails and wait periods. And then this is like the final call to action that is like the last thing. Maybe you talk about the assignment that they do at the end of all of Unit 1, or maybe you summarize everything they've talked about or everything you've taught and all the cool things they're going to learn by going through Unit 1. But basically, you want them to finish so that they can move on to Lesson 2. It could even be actually talking about Lesson 2. Actually, that might be a good idea. Is like, or not, sorry, not Lesson 2, Unit 2, getting them inspired to do Unit 2 and saying, you know, you got to complete Unit 1 first. Here's all the cool stuff that's coming up in Unit 2, so that inspires them. And then I'll talk about this in a sec, but this one here is the most important thing. This is basically when they complete Unit 1, it's going to pull them to this goal, right? So no matter where they are, let's say on day 1, they get the welcome message and they're super excited and they go through everything and really kick butt and complete Unit 1. This will recognize that they completed Unit 1 and pull them directly here so that they don't get any of these emails. Right. And at this stage, you're actually going to want to add in a new start an automation that's going to start. We don't have it yet, but it'll be like TDP delivery module 2. Right. So this is actually going to be module 1. So once they complete it, then it ends. Well, you're going to want to start the next automation, and then you can have in this automation. But technically, this isn't even needed. It's just to show visually that the automation ends. But you got to start that next automation is the next thing. So the only reason why I'm not doing it yet is because I want to complete the style that we use for module 1 before we create module 2, because we'll just clone module 1 to create module 2 so that you don't have to recreate a new version from scratch. But we've got some decisions to make on how we're going to redo or how we're going to do module 1 and all the modules so that they, work perfectly the way you want. So first thing you need to do is you need to go into this goal, and you've got to change this URL here to the actual URL that they would visit when they complete Unit 1. So you click here and has visited, give the exact URL, and go and find the URL that actually shows that they have completed Unit 1. I don't know if that's Unit 2, maybe the start of Unit 2, or maybe that's the assignment URL that they click on to start the assignment, which maybe technically isn't completing it, but shows that they're almost completed, right? They're at that stage. So somehow we need to know that they completed Unit 1. And I don't know if you do this manually, like if you do it manually where you actually don't allow them to go to Unit 2, like you don't allow them to go to a specific URL until you've checked their homework or something, then in that case, you might want to actually have it create a tag. And instead of having them have visited this URL, they get a tag that says completed module 1. And that tag is what completes this goal. So then you go in and manually add the tag to say they've completed Unit 1. And maybe you also create, like if you send them an email, like some stock email when they complete Unit 1 that allows them to go to email 2, that could be the email, the welcome message for module 2 would be. So when you copy this whole automation and have module 2, the tag here would be completed Unit 1, and then they immediately get that email that you normally manually sent out. That way you don't have to manually send it out anymore. Your action becomes, instead of manually sending that email, it becomes manually tagging them that they've completed it. And again, that's only if you require, you are the one that kind of doesn't allow them to see Lesson 2 until you've confirmed something. If they can do it on their own, like in your quizzes, as long as they pass 75% of the quiz, they can move on to the next lesson, right? So in those cases, they will visit a URL without you giving them access to it, right? So in those cases, you could use this goal just as is. Now, if you wanted, you could add similar goals up here in each section so that they don't get the email if they haven't, or sorry, that, for example, day one, right? Lesson one, let's say they go and message the welcome message and immediately they complete lesson one, right? And they get to lesson two, right? Then you might not want to send them this email that tells them about lesson one, right? So you can add a goal that says completed lesson one, right? And then click to add a goal. You want to go has visited, right? And the URL is whatever your URL is, that sends them to that page. Champion. I'm just going to put google.com for right now. You're going to need to put in the exact URL there. Right. So completed lesson one, this takes them to it. And when this goal is completed, you can leave that the same. If the contact does not meet the goal conditions, you'll want to leave this as continue anyway, because you want to inspire them to keep going, I think. So basically what this would do is if they complete lesson one before this email gets sent, they'd get pulled here. And then they'd be waiting, a certain amount of days and then get this email if they complete it there. But then you'd also could do this on each day. So you can move this here and copy single action but change this to lesson two, right? So if you want, you could do this literally for every lesson and go in and put in the lessons for each one. And that way they wouldn't get any emails that aren't relevant to them, that don't inspire them to complete the next lesson. So the only reason not to do that is just you have to go in, find every URL and put it in, but it's only 6, should be relatively easy. So you could do that. I think that'd be a little bit better. And then now let's talk about what this does as well and how you might want to use this. So this basically would check before they get somewhere if they've completed a unit, and if they didn't, we have a choice of what to do next. So in other words, like let's say you're sending all these emails and they get to the end and they still haven't completed the unit, right? They've done all this and they haven't completed the unit. Well, if they have completed the unit, it just sends them here and goes, they've completed this. This is already done. And so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they have completed. But if they haven't, we get to choose what to do here. So you could set up another set of emails that try to re-inspire them to continue, just in this line, that are completely different from these emails. Or you could choose to send them back through this set of emails to remind them, hey, they haven't finished. Go check them out or something. So it'd be easier. Like the simple thing to do is to click this go to, and then you just drag. Let me make this smaller. So you would drag this up and send them back, like say to here. So then they wait a couple days and then they get this email again. And basically it would create a loop where they constantly get this email series until they complete it, right? So that's okay. It's not ideal. And actually, now that I'm thinking, but the reason why I like this is because not doing it creates a whole bunch of excess emails you have to write, right? But now that I think about it, I kind of have a solution for this that might be a little better. So I'm just gonna change this. How do I delete that? Let's just delete this altogether. So what you might want to do here is create like 3 emails that go out like once every 2 weeks or something here. That's just similar to this, right? Email, wait for 2 weeks. Email, wait for 2 weeks, something like that. That goes out, or even just one email here. Like here, let me just show you what I mean. Send an email. Sure, the welcome. It's not going to be the welcome message. It's going to be something else. And then a wait for a certain period of time. Let's say, well, keep it to 1 week for now for ease. And then now you can do a go to action. And and then go right here. Oh, go right to this. Is that? Why is it not working? Go to here. Maybe. All right, I'm not sure why it's not working right now, but the idea is that I want to drag this and I want it to go back up, right? So that it repeats. So they get this message that basically says, hey, you haven't finished Unit 1 yet. Go in and finish Unit 1 so that you can get Unit 2. And then waits a week, checks again if they finished it. If not, sends them down this again. And yeah, I'm just not sure why it's not working. I'll have to look into what's going wrong there. Oh, there we go. Now it looks like it's working. Although I'm not sure if it's sending this, it's going here to this email, or if it's going, it looks like it's going this email. Although that's not bad, because basically these both are emails that are like reminding them, hey, you haven't finished. Hey, here's why you should finish. Hey, you haven't finished. Here's why you should finish. So you could create this kind of perpetual loop that they get. And you might want to, in this message here, you could create a way for them to get out of this perpetual loop, even if they haven't completed it, like a little link that says, click here. Inside the message, you create a link that says, click here if you don't want to get these reminder emails anymore. But be warned, if you click this, you will also no longer get any emails about the program, modules 2 and modules 3 and such. So the idea is like, imagine if they don't finish it for a year, they're getting an email every 2 weeks. It might be annoying, or it might be something they want. So giving them the option to click a link that takes them out of it might be a good idea. And then when you create that link in the email, right? In the email, you can add an action to the link that makes them do something. If you don't know how to do that, I can show you that in a separate message. But it would basically, you can add an action that says, take them out of this automation. And that would be fine. Yeah, so that's the general essence of this. So I'm not sure if you want more of these or not. I do think it's a good idea. So if you do, just copy them in. And then the main thing to do for this that you need to do is obviously write the emails themselves for each of these sections, focusing on something that's going to inspire them to go in and do what they need to do, right? And then the other thing that you want to do is change the goals here so that like this goal matches the URL that they would visit once they've completed the quiz from lesson 1, the quiz from lesson 2, add more of them in each of these sections. And then once they've completed the unit, either the URL they're going to visit or changing the tag if that's how you want to do it. once you complete all this, I'll take a look and double check that it all makes sense. And then we'll create the same, we'll basically duplicate this whole thing for module 2 and adjust it for module 2, and then do the same for module 3, and so on. So yeah, this is what I recommend. One final note, just like as another option you could do, but not sure that I recommend it. You will notice that like right now it's set up that no matter what, they're going to get all these emails regardless of whether they complete, say they don't complete lesson 1. Right now, the way it's set up is eventually they are going to get this email inspiring them to do lesson 2, right? And I think this is good because each lesson is short enough that like that they, let's say they aren't done with lesson 1, so they can't access lesson 2 yet. You're going to mention you've got to complete the previous lessons to get to this one, but this is what you're going to learn in this one, and this is why you want to complete everything. So that is how you would write this. What was I saying? So basically I think you want to send all these emails, even if they haven't completed the previous lesson yet, to inspire them to complete, to have different ways to inspire them to complete the lessons, right? So maybe lesson 1 isn't that inspiring for them. So maybe they didn't want to complete lesson 1, or they didn't get inspired to do it. But maybe lesson 2 is inspiring enough that they want to go and complete lesson 1 so that they can start lesson 2, and or maybe lesson 3 or 4 or 5. Any of these lessons might be the one that's most exciting for them. So that's a general idea of this. And if for some reason you didn't like that, you could like do some if else thing inside each of these, like before each one. So you send them lesson 1, and then here you put an if else. If they did complete lesson 1, they continue down here. If they didn't complete it, you send them an email to inspire them to complete it, and then loop it like we looped here for each lesson. But I feel like that would be a bit overkill. Personally, I think this might be better here, just doing this section. Also, I guess one other thing, if this is sending this email here, we're probably going to want to put a wait 1 week in this section as well. Yeah, so that way this email sends, then it sends them back here, and then it waits a week, and then this email sends, waits a week, this email, waits a week, this email, something like that. And this could be changed to 2 weeks, or these, each, but the general idea is there. Oh, I also want to talk about how to decide whether 1 day, 1 week, or 3 days, or something like that. There's 2 ways you can think about this. One is, how long do you think each lesson is going to take to complete, and then put in the appropriate time for each one. So that's one way to do it. The way that I recommend, though, is thinking about how long do you think it'll take for them to complete the entire unit 1, right? Is, let's say that's a week or 2 weeks, or let's say a month, right? And then you want to divide these weights by that amount of time. So let's say it's 30 days and you've got 6 wait periods, then you could divide them each by 5 days, right? So that by the end of this 30 days, basically they've gotten all of them. So that's basing it around the entire unit instead of each individual lesson. Yeah, and either one is fine, but that's the general idea, I would think, is like, how long do I think it's going to complete, and divide it, or go by each lesson and then make it that way. And obviously not, even if you think, oh, well, this would only take an hour to complete, like, you don't want to wait for an hour and then send them the next email. Like, at most, probably, I mean, I could see 1 day for some of these, but probably most of them are going to be 3 days or more before you send the next email. Yeah, probably. All right. If you have any questions on that, let me know. Go ahead and complete this, right? Fill out any more tags that you feel are needed here, or delete this tag if you don't think it's needed. Write the emails, create the weights, create the goals in each of these sections, and put in the correct URLs for each goal. Add more goals if you like that idea, or delete them if you don't want to deal with goals in between for some reason. Although I do think this is a good idea. Yeah, so I'm just going to copy them for you so they're there for you, and then you can delete them if you want, but I recommend them being there. And just put in the URLs, put in the welcome message here. Well, all these weights, put in the URL here. This is a fake right now. Unit 1 complete obviously is not the correct unit. So you need to put in the URL there, or if it's a tag, you could change this to a tag. Right now it has visited. So basically this here and this are the same. They just serve as two different functions. This one pulls them out if they complete it early, whereas this one is if they don't complete it, it sends them down this section. So it's really just designed for those that don't complete it, to give them something to do and then to create this loop. Yeah. All right. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions, and let me know when this is done.